Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's a red Sunday, 30th of June 2024. As part of our political education, we are looking into Kenya. We are following closely the events in Kenya. So young people taken to the streets in Nairobi and the other cities across the country. And the question we ask, what are the lessons for young people in Zimbabwe, in Southern Africa? For us to have a better understanding of these protests, we need to look into the demands that they've put on the table. The first category of demands deals with economic and financial reforms. It says, abolish the housing levy, remove exclusions in the Social Health Insurance Fund, drop the Chief Administrative Secretary Bill and Chief Administrative Secretary positions, eliminate MP allowances, mandatory jail term for corruption, redirect savings to health and education, drop the proposal to increase fuel levy by 39%, drop the proposal to increase SEP to 6% of revenue, oppose imposition of excise duty, remove excise duty on internet bangles, reduce budgets for first and second led offices, cut state house renovation budgets, remove import duty on filming equipment and services, remove excise duty on digital platforms. Then under the category of social and governance reforms, these are the demands. Address issues affecting young people. Reform the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Referendum on governance issues. It says, initiate a referendum to address governance issues, including the overrepresentation in the National Assembly. The last demand says employment for intern doctors and junior secondary school teachers. Says ensure the employment of intern doctors and the junior secondary school teachers and reinstate those who were dismissed for participating in strikes. These are the demands by the young people in Kenya. What are the lessons for young people in Zimbabwe? We have been talking to comrades in Kenya. We have a good relationship with the Communist Party of Kenya, who are rejecting the finance bill, and they've been involved in mobilizing society, particularly young people, to reject the finance bill. But what then are the lessons, which we'll deal in detail in the next video? Because the question that we're confronted with is that protests are a critical tool in mobilizing the critical mass. Protests are a critical tool in mobilizing the critical mass. But protests can be hijacked. First, it can be hijacked by criminals, right? Criminals will then direct the protest if there's no leadership. They will direct the protest because these are criminals. At the end, they will then betray the protesters because the criminals or lumpenproletariat, they will emerge, the lumpenproletariat, they will emerge as the leaders of the protesters because they will have hijacked the protest. As they emerge as the leaders of the protest, they then enter on behalf of the protesters into negotiations with the regime. And the lumpenproletariat, because by their very nature, they are available to be used by anyone. They then enter into a deal with the state to say, yes, some of our demands are met, we'll continue with the dialogue, then they disarm the protesters. So if a protest is leaderless, spontaneous, or is spontaneous, it has no leaders. In many cases, the lumpen proletariat gets into the front. They hijack, they direct lootings, make the protest look like criminal in nature because of the lootings, violence, and so forth. But immediately enter into a deal with the state. And people get disarmed. If the protest, as we have seen in other countries, lead into the change of administration, those that will have hijacked the protest, particularly from the military, as we saw in Egypt around 2011, they then place themselves in the front and take charge of the protest and constitute a government and continue doing what the previous regime was doing. Egypt becomes a good case study. While spontaneity is important politically, but if it does not have, because spontaneity by its nature does not have leadership, but it's important that the leadership must emerge to lead the protest, so that the protest does not lose its value or its key objective. We saw with this flag in Zimbabwe, Tajamuga Sesjikisile, where there was this organization which was mobilizing young people across. We saw the protests in Harare, in Bulawayo, other cities participated in the protest. In Johannesburg, people were mobilized. But those that were in the forefront turned out that they were part of the system. And Tajamuga Sesjikisile, this flag, died a natural death. Because people thought that the leaders had emerged from the protest. And they thought that the leadership understood the grievances of the protesters. Whereas the leaders themselves had a different agenda, far from the agenda of the people that took to the streets. So it's important that when these protests happen, we must guard against the hijacking of a protest by the lumpen proletariat. We should guard it being hijacked by some in the military, who then take power and do not transform the state. We'll discuss in detail in the next video, but we said in this first video, let's deal with understand the demands that have been placed. But what we're underlining is that as young people organize protests, a protest that is leaderless in the main becomes a bit of a challenge, because it is easy for the lumpen proletariat, who are at the service of anyone who has got money, to hijack it. And the system will simply bribe the leaders, because the lumpen proletariat will have emerged as the leaders of the protest. Please share your views in the comment section. Like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you're on TikTok, please do follow us. Amandla Comrades, Red Salute.